They give you the impression that you think that you will get from every single coffee out there. Exactly like you smell it. That instant peach rushing through your mouth. It's pretty cool. You start to realize that this coffee is extremely one-dimensional. An ironic part about that is that eventually you're going to be bored with that. And you may just go back to the status quo. Here it is. After a couple days of actually drinking, experiencing, and kind of liking, to an extent, Co-Ferments. That instant peach rushing through your mouth. It's pretty cool. I have predictions about this whole coffee, this whole processing way of doing things. And as I was thinking about it, and then actually drinking it and experiencing it for what it is, I start to realize is that they're really interesting type of coffee. I'm not gonna lie. My first introduction or situation with it, I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, that smell was intense from whole beans. And then when you grinded the coffee up, it just intensified even more so. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. But, it's just coffee. That's all we're doing here. We're just drinking and loving and tasting and experiencing coffee. So I brewed 1 cup and I brewed another cup. And different devices, more so the same technique. And it was exactly like you smell it. That was the first thing that really got me going, really got me to see it for what it is. And it was interesting because that smell transferred directly into the taste of it. It was trippy because, a lot of times when you think about coffee, it has tasting notes on there. And then, of course, people don't care about the aroma as much. But sometimes you can just smell that coffee and that's going to translate to something great and awesome. But you really don't get that connection between the smell of the coffee and how it actually tastes in your cup. So this Co-Ferment, both of them, didn't lie to me at all. They're up straight, honest with me about the way it tasted. And I don't think I've never really experienced something like that, if that makes any sense. Yes, coffee's great, but at the end of the day, sometimes we have those battles that we play around and fight with coffee, trying to get different flavors out of it. That's part of the journey. That's part of the dance that we go through. And you brew it this way, that way, different temperatures and all that good stuff. It kind of changes. So those are the things that we're used to, custom with when we're actually drinking the coffee. So this one, if it says peach, you're going to get that intense peach taste. If it says green apple, you're going to get that same type of taste and flavor. And it was trippy. And it's still kind of trippy because I brewed a cup for this particular situation. And it's there. It's interesting. There's no denying that this is what this coffee is supposed to taste like. Based off the producer's wizardry, magicalness of creating something like this. And it was just similar to me when I tasted that coffee at SEA many, many months ago. Nobody gave me a descriptor what that coffee tasted like. As soon as you sipped it, you knew exactly, or you can pinpoint it which went with 1 or 2 tasting notes of what you're actually tasting. And everybody understood that. They got it too. And I think me saying this they're good for the industry to an extent. I'll get there, I think. They give you the impression that you think that you will get from every single coffee out there. It really does. And that's kind of interesting saying that because, like I said in the beginning, not every single coffee tastes the same, especially as it cools, especially from the smell of the coffee to the way that it tastes actually. But in this case, exactly what you want to get out of a coffee. And yeah, I did say that the industry may be bored with this particular coffee, but that's perfectly fine because it could be saying a bigger thing about the industry, how people are just tired of these subtle coffees, these washed coffees, these coffees that something that we're accustomed to, something that we're used to drinking, that we needed to introduce something different, something manufactured, something to an extent artificial in order to spice up our coffee lineup from time to time. And I think that's really where it comes down to, you know? So was my prediction right? Not really. It really wasn't right. To an extent, I knew I was going to get that intense fruit flavor, but I didn't realize that that was going to be more so the same type of thing that I was going to get throughout the cup no matter what. But I think the biggest takeaway of this coffee is that it gives us that chance to truly know that we're there with our coffee. It gives us this kind of beginner's way of understanding coffee, meaning that whatever you smell is exactly what you're going to get. There's no second guessing yourself. There's no fooling around telling you that this is what it's going to be for you. That's what it is. And it's a really good feeling to the point to where you feel that you know that coffee. Feel that whatever you have done in your coffee journey, that you're going to experience it the exact same way as the manufacturer, the producer has crafted it to be, and even that roaster has crafted it and coasted it that way. And in this case, this is a lightly roasted coffee. I did roast it a slightly darker, probably another 30 seconds of developmental time, but it's more so the same. Probably not as crisp and rich to an extent. I would have loved to roast it darker just to see if those flavors will still come through and to get more of that sweetness. But in this case, it worked out just fine. It was something that I was pleasantly surprised that this is what you can get out of coffee, right? But here's the thing about all of this. Something I do want to leave you off with, just kind of like a thought with this coffee that I noticed after brewing it a couple times. Again, I don't have a lot of it, but I think I've gotten my kick and fix out of it is that I'm not too sure if the industry was bored, you know, when they decided to do something like this. I don't know whose idea was to process coffee this way, very artificially. And like I said in the beginning, it could be to the point to where, you know, this was brought on because of the boredom of drinking the same coffees all the time. They're changed from the extent between harvests because it's a crop. It's real, right? It's something that's consumable, something that needs like sun, shelter, and all that stuff, you know. I do wish it was possible for me to actually taste this coffee as a blank slate with nothing on it because it is flavored, it is artificial, it is doctored. Let's not play around with that. It is. But the trippy thing about all of this is that the reason why I say this coffee is needed because it gives that person that true sensory nature of like smelling something and then tasting it. And it's exactly what they think the coffee is, right? But here's the thing about it. After brewing it many times on different brewers, different temperatures, and all that stuff, is that I believe after 4 or 5 brews of this coffee, you start to realize that this coffee is extremely one-dimensional. It smells exactly like it tastes. And no matter which brewer that you actually use, no matter which temperature that you play around with this coffee with, whatever technique that you use, it's going to be the same. There's no real variations in the coffee. If you smell peach, you'll get peach. If you brew it this way, you'll get peach. If you brew it that way, you'll get peach. There's no like soul to this coffee. There's no like bend and groove like other coffees have. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you change that water chemistry or even that temperature a couple degrees and you do the exact same, you'll get something totally different. It may be subtle, but it's there. And a lot of times when we smell coffee and it doesn't really work for us, and we're keeping that same energy of trying to bring out different things in the best, of trying to match it the best way that we can, I think those are the challenges that we look forward to. This Co-Ferment doesn't do that. So I think if you're going to try it, get a small bag. I mean, they're not going to sell it to you anyway in a big bag. Taste it a little bit and enjoy it on a Saturday afternoon. Probably drink it with other people to get their reaction. See what they think about it. Give them that whole sensory experience with this coffee. But it doesn't matter which way you brew it. You're going to get that exact same experience. And I think that's where it falls flat. Because that's the thing about it. It's not challenging. I'm not saying I need a challenge every time. But the taste is the same. It doesn't waver. It doesn't care about you. You think you're doing something when you brew it this way, that way, this way. It doesn't matter. If you smell peach, you're going to taste peach. If you smell green apples, you're going to taste green apples. An ironic part about that is that eventually you're going to be bored with that. And you may just go back to the status quo. So, that's what I got for you. Let me know what you think. I'll talk to you later. Bye.